Let me be blunt. If someone pulls away from you, it doesn't always mean they're losing interest. In fact, the opposite is often true. Pulling away can be one of the clearest signs that they're deeply emotionally attached to you. Most men see distance and assume rejection, games, or fading interest. That's exactly the misunderstanding that keeps relationships from growing. Men, listen closely. Emotional attachment doesn't always look like constant texting, constant calls, or clingy behavior. Sometimes it looks like silence, space, or hesitation, and that's what makes it so confusing. Here's the truth you need to hear. When someone is emotionally invested, their mind and heart are constantly running 1,000,000 miles an hour. They're thinking about you, analyzing your actions, worrying about doing the right thing, and sometimes pulling back just to manage the intensity of their own feelings. It's not a game. It's not manipulation. It's emotional depth mixed with fear, care, and sometimes uncertainty. And the men who can't see that often misinterpret love as indifference. I want you to start seeing beyond the obvious. Pay attention to patterns, not just moments. Look for consistency in attention, subtle signs of care, and actions that show investment. Emotional attachment isn't always loud. It's not dramatic. Often it's quiet, cautious, and a little conflicted. And that's exactly why so many men misread it. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to recognize real emotional attachment, even when it looks like someone is pulling away. I'll help you see the truth behind the silence, hesitation, and mixed signals. By the end, you'll start noticing things most men miss, and you'll understand how to respond in ways that build trust, connection, and deeper attraction. Let's get into it. 1. When distance hides desire. Here's the thing most men completely misunderstand. When someone pulls away, it's not always rejection. Often, it's desire wrapped in fear. The more emotionally attached she is, the more conflicted she can feel. She wants you desperately, but she's afraid that showing it too openly will make her seem vulnerable, needy, or too intense. That tension between wanting you and holding back creates distance. And that distance can look like she's losing interest when, in reality, she's emotionally tangled. Imagine a situation where she's been texting you a lot, laughing at your jokes, and making plans to see you. Then suddenly, she starts replying slower, doesn't initiate conversations, and seems quieter than usual. You might panic, thinking she's drifting away. What you don't see is what's happening inside her. She's thinking about you constantly, analyzing everything she said and everything you did, wondering if she came on too strong, if she impressed you, if she's giving the right amount of space. She's not ignoring you. She's trying to control her own overwhelming emotions while still caring deeply. This is emotional attachment in action. She's deeply invested, and pulling away is her way of balancing those feelings. The truth is, the more someone cares, the more they fear overstepping boundaries or losing the connection. So while it looks like she's retreating, she's actually still present in her mind. Men, here's what you need to understand. Emotional attachment doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers, sometimes it hesitates, and sometimes it retreats. The key is noticing patterns. Does she check in even subtly? Does she make small gestures of care when she can? Does she try to maintain connection in her own way, even when she's quiet? Those are the signs that she's emotionally attached. Signs that most men miss because they focus only on what they can see or measure in messages and calls. So next time you feel distance, pause. Don't assume she's losing interest. Look deeper. Emotional attachment often hides in the very behaviors that seem frustrating, confusing, or distant. When you start seeing it that way, you'll stop panicking over small gaps and start understanding her heart. Distance doesn't always mean she's leaving. Sometimes it's proof that she's feeling you too much to know how to stay close without fear. 2. Overthinking you is her secret proof of care. Let me tell you something most men don't understand. When a woman is emotionally attached, she overthinks you constantly. And yes, Overthinking isn't a sign of doubt or disinterest. It's a sign that she cares deeply. Every word you say, every text, every interaction gets analyzed, replayed, and examined in her mind. It's not because she's insecure. It's because she's invested, and she wants everything between you to go well. Think about it this way. A woman who isn't emotionally attached won't spend hours wondering if you liked her last message, if she came on too strong, or if you're thinking about her when she's not around. But when she's attached, these thoughts are relentless. She replays your conversations, imagines your reactions, and mentally prepares herself for the next interaction. That mental energy shows that you occupy space in her heart and mind, even if she doesn't always say it out loud. This overthinking is her way of trying to protect the connection. She wants to be present for you in the right way, and she's afraid of overstepping, being too much, or unintentionally pushing you away. That fear doesn't mean she's not interested. It means she's balancing desire with caution. Every pause in her response, every careful word choice, is her trying to navigate that intensity. Men, here's what you need to notice. Overthinking isn't a flaw. It's emotional attachment in disguise. It's proof that she values you, worries about your perception of her, and is emotionally invested in the relationship. When you see her hesitation or carefulness, don't assume she's pulling away from you. She's thinking about how to be closer without scaring you off. Understanding this changes everything. You stop misreading careful behavior as disinterest. You start seeing the subtle ways she's invested, even in silence or delayed replies. And when you respond with patience, confidence, and understanding, you give her the space to show her attachment naturally. Emotional attachment doesn't always look loud or obvious. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's cautious. But when a woman is overthinking you constantly, it's one of the clearest signs she's emotionally invested. And the men who notice this are the ones who get the depth of her heart. 3. Her silence is louder than words. Here's something most men completely miss. When a woman pulls back and goes quiet, it doesn't always mean she's losing interest. In fact, her silence can be one of the clearest signs of emotional attachment. When someone cares deeply, there are moments when words aren't enough, or when expressing every feeling feels risky. She may pull away to process, to protect herself, or simply because her emotions are too strong to put into simple sentences. Think about it. When a woman is emotionally attached, she's constantly aware of you. She notices your moods, your tone, the way you move, even the things you don't say. And sometimes, processing all of that internally takes quiet. She might seem distant or slow to respond, but that doesn't mean she's drifting away. It often means she's fully present, just in her mind, thinking about you, about the connection, and about how to navigate her feelings. Men often panic at silence, assuming the worst, but that reaction misses the point. Emotional attachment is not always loud or expressive. Sometimes it's subtle, cautious, and deeply internal. She might hesitate before texting back because she's carefully considering what to say, wanting to convey herself correctly, or afraid of coming off too eager. Her pause is her way of protecting both her heart and the connection with you. Here's what you need to notice. Patterns over moments. Does she still reach out? Does she make time for you, even in small ways? Does she remember details about you and show care subtly? If yes, her silence isn't avoidance. It's emotional processing. It's attachment. It's proof that she's thinking about you, worrying about the connection, and emotionally invested. When you start seeing silence this way, it changes your perspective. You stop panicking or assuming the worst. You start responding with calm, confidence, and understanding. That's what creates trust and strengthens the connection. Emotional attachment doesn't need constant validation or loud declarations. Sometimes it's quiet, measured, and reflective. And when a woman is silent like this, it's a sign she's holding on emotionally, even when her words are few. Men, Never underestimate the power of her quiet moments. They often speak louder than words ever could. Her silence is her love, her care, and her attachment showing itself in a way only the observant will notice. 4. Subtle signals you're missing. Every day. Men often focus on big gestures, long texts, constant attention, or dramatic displays of affection. But the truth is, emotional attachment shows up in the smallest, quietest ways. When someone cares deeply, she's constantly signaling it without saying a word. And most men completely miss these subtle signals because they're looking for obvious proof instead of paying attention. Think about it. She remembers the tiniest details about you. Your favorite coffee, the song you mentioned in passing, or even a small goal you're working on. She notices how you respond to things, what makes you laugh, and what annoys you. That attention is emotional attachment in action. It's her way of saying, I'm thinking about you, even when I'm not right there. She might also adjust her behavior around you without you realizing it. Maybe she laughs a little more when you joke, softens her tone when you're stressed, or tries to include you in things she enjoys. These actions aren't random. They're her way of connecting, showing care, and being present in your life without needing to verbalize every thought. Even small acts, like checking in at the right moment, sending a text that only you would understand, or remembering to ask about something important to you, are signs of deep attachment. She's not doing these things casually. She's emotionally invested, and these small gestures are her way of showing it safely, without overwhelming herself or the connection. Men, the key is observation. Stop waiting for big declarations and start noticing the little things. Emotional attachment is often quiet, subtle, and consistent. It's the little signs that she's thinking about you, caring for you, and emotionally invested even when she's not shouting it from the rooftops. Once you start seeing these subtle signals, everything changes. You stop misinterpreting distance or quiet moments as disinterest. You start understanding that love and attachment are shown not just in words or dramatic gestures, but in the tiny, consistent ways she integrates you into her world. Emotional attachment doesn't need to be loud. Sometimes it's in the details you weren't noticing before. 5. Torn between wanting you and protecting herself. Here's something men rarely understand. When a woman pulls away, it's often because she's torn. She wants you badly, but she's afraid of giving too much too soon, of being vulnerable, or of getting hurt. That tension creates a push and pull dynamic that can look confusing, but it's one of the clearest signs that she's emotionally attached. Imagine this. You've been spending a lot of time together, talking about future plans, laughing until late at night, and sharing personal stories. Then suddenly, she pulls back. She's quieter, slower to respond, maybe even seems a little distant. You might panic, thinking she's losing interest. What you don't see is the battle happening inside her. She wants to be close to you, to lean on you, to share her heart fully. But part of her is scared. Scared of being too vulnerable, scared of being hurt, scared of investing so much that it becomes overwhelming. That fear doesn't mean she's not attached. In fact, it's often the opposite. Her emotional attachment is so strong that she feels the risk of losing control or losing herself. She's deeply aware of what you mean to her, and that awareness creates a need to protect herself. The more she cares, the more she worries about pushing too hard, saying too much, or appearing too dependent. And so she pulls back, not because she wants to leave, but because she's trying to manage the intensity of her feelings. Men often misread this as game playing or disinterest. The reality is that emotional attachment can make someone cautious. She's holding back out of love and care for both you and herself. And if you respond with panic, frustration, or pressure, you push her further away. But if you respond with patience, confidence, and understanding, you create space for her attachment to be expressed safely. Notice the signs. She still makes an effort, even if it's subtle. She still reaches out. She remembers details about you. She finds ways to stay connected without overwhelming herself. These small behaviors tell you everything you need to know. She's emotionally invested, and her pullback is just a way of balancing desire with caution. When you start seeing this, you'll stop panicking over her distance. You'll start understanding that a woman who pulls away sometimes is not losing interest. She's emotionally attached and working hard to manage her feelings while staying close to you. That push and pull isn't rejection. It's love, intensity, and investment wrapped into human emotion. 6. Watching you without saying a word. Here's something men often overlook. When a woman is emotionally attached, she notices everything about you, even when she's silent. You might think that her quiet moments mean she's distant or uninterested, but the truth is often the exact opposite. Emotional attachment doesn't always make a woman vocal. Sometimes it makes her observe, analyze, and pay attention in ways that don't involve words at all. Think about it. She notices your habits, your mood shifts, and even the subtle things you do without thinking. She remembers the little details, the story you told once about your childhood, the way you react when stressed, the jokes that make you laugh. Those observations are her way of staying connected and emotionally involved. You might not see it, but she's carrying all of that with her internally, and it shapes how she interacts with you in subtle ways. This attention isn't casual. She's emotionally invested, and every small behavior, every word, every reaction matters to her. She's paying attention because she cares, because she's trying to understand you fully, and because she wants to keep the connection alive without pushing too hard or overstepping boundaries. Her attachment makes her cautious, which is why you might notice moments of silence or hesitation. It's not distance, it's focus. Men, the key here is awareness. Stop assuming that quiet or delayed responses equal lack of interest. Instead, notice the patterns of her attention. Does she remember what's important to you? Does she show subtle signs of care? Does she maintain presence in ways that aren't immediately obvious? These are proof of attachment, even when she isn't verbally expressing it. Emotional attachment often manifests in observation rather than overt expression. It's quiet, consistent, and subtle. The kind of attention that only a man who's truly paying attention will notice. When you understand this, you start to see her silence not as rejection, but as her heart showing up in the only way she can manage. So next time she's quiet, don't panic. Don't misinterpret it. She's emotionally present. She's thinking about you. She's invested. And the way she watches, remembers, and notices without saying a word is one of the clearest signs of emotional attachment a man can ever see. 7. Why your reactions can make or break her attachment. Here's something most men need to hear. A woman's emotional attachment is fragile, not because she's weak, but because she's aware of how much she cares. And the way you react to her pullbacks, her hesitation, or her moods can either deepen that attachment or destroy it completely. Most men misread signals and respond in ways that push women away, even when she's trying to stay emotionally connected. When she pulls back, it's often because she's processing her feelings, protecting herself, or figuring out how to balance her intense emotions with the reality of the connection. If you overreact, panicking, chasing, or demanding explanations, you reinforce her fear and tension. You make her question whether it's safe to show you her feelings. On the other hand, if you respond with calm confidence, patience, and understanding, you create space for her attachment to grow. You show her that she can be vulnerable without losing you. Men, here's a wake-up call. Stop seeing pullbacks as games or rejection. Stop letting your insecurities dictate how you respond. If you constantly misread her silence or cautious behavior, you're missing the chance to strengthen her attachment and build trust. A woman who loves you enough to pull back is already invested, but she's watching your reactions closely. How you handle her hesitations reveals your emotional intelligence and your ability to handle depth in a relationship. You need to be the steady force she can rely on. She's giving you signals of care, even in moments of distance, and your responses can either affirm her feelings or make her retreat further. Confidence, consistency, and calmness aren't just attractive. They're essential. She wants to know that when her emotions are intense, she won't be judged, rejected, or misunderstood. That's how emotional attachment deepens. Here's the truth many men overlook. Attachment isn't built through constant attention or chasing. It's built through presence, patience, and understanding. When you stop reacting out of fear and start responding with clarity, you show her that the connection is safe, that her feelings are valued, and that she can invest fully without fear. So, the next time she pulls back or seems conflicted, pause before reacting. Look beyond the surface. Recognize that her attachment is real and respond in a way that strengthens it. Your reactions matter more than you think. They can either make her feel safe to love deeply or push her away entirely. Handle her attachment wisely, because it's a gift most men don't get to see. Here's the truth most men completely miss. When someone pulls away, it's not always about losing interest. Sometimes, it's the clearest sign of emotional attachment. A woman who cares deeply will pull back, hesitate, or go quiet. Not because she doesn't want you, but because she's trying to manage the intensity of her feelings. She's thinking about you constantly, noticing details you don't realize, and balancing desire with fear. The mistake men make is reacting too quickly, overanalyzing every move, or assuming distance equals rejection. When you misread these signals, you risk pushing her further away, the very opposite of what you want. Emotional attachment is fragile and powerful at the same time, and your awareness and responses can make all the difference. Calm confidence, patience, and understanding are what allow her attachment to grow naturally. Men, start seeing beyond the surface. Notice the patterns, the small gestures, and the quiet moments. Recognize that overthinking, pullbacks, and silence are often proof that she's emotionally invested. Stop letting your assumptions dictate your actions. Respond in ways that build trust, create safety, and deepen connection. I want to hear from you. Have you ever misread someone's pullback only to realize it was love all along? Share your experiences in the comments. I'll be reading and engaging with every story. Emotional attachment isn't obvious, but when you understand it, you can recognize a rare kind of love that most men overlook. Handle it wisely, respect it fully, and you'll see the depth of her feelings like never before.